Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to travel to Poland. This is a visit that will help strengthen relationship between India and Poland. And Poland is a key partner of India in Central Europe. With me is top diplomat of Poland here in Delhi. So welcome to WION. And my first question to you is about this relationship. How do you characterize India-Poland relationship?
Good morning, namaste everyone. Thank you very much for having me. Welcome to this beautiful house residence of Poland's Polish residence in New Delhi. Yes, you're right. It's a first visit of Indian Prime Minister for last 45 years. So last visit was 1979. Actually, in fact, I was not even born at that time. So, I don't really remember that visit and many people don't remember it. But India and Poland has always traditionally have friendly relations, and this year we are celebrating 70th anniversary of our diplomatic relations. So this is one of the reasons for Prime Minister to come and visit Poland. We have both last 70 years we have both changed and transformed our economies, our countries. This is a totally different environment that we had. That we live in now, and 45 years ago India was in a different situation, different position, and we Poland were in a very different environment, and country has changed profoundly. So it's high time for Indian Prime Minister to visit and see how Poland is.
Mm-hmm. So the Prime Minister will be traveling to Poland. He will be meeting the top leadership, the President and the Prime Minister as well. How do you see this visit help strengthen the relationship? What are the key outcomes? I know much of the outcomes will be announced during the visit, but what are the key outcomes which are expected in terms of further strengthening this relationship?
Yes, you are really right. We both waited 45 years for this visit to happen, and we want this visit to be a meaningful one, a visit that will, we will be talking a lot about past and our past cooperation over the last 70 years, but we want to build some important, plan some important events ahead, and we would like this relationship to be more structured, so that we can actually, it can be fruitful and beneficial to both sides. So I think this is what we should expect, some announcement that would actually help us operationalize this relationship.
Mm-hmm. So I'll go to other aspects of the relationship as well, including, of course, the popularity of yoga in Poland. But when it comes to Poland's role, when it comes to the role it's playing, when it comes to the war, its impact on Poland, how much that will be part of the conversation, the Russia-Ukraine war?
The most important thing with this visit is, I think this is a bilateral official visit. So we will be focusing on bilateral affairs and this bilateral relationship, political contacts, economic cooperation. There is a lot to talk here about, and culture, as you mentioned, will be high on the agenda. But of course, both Poland and India are countries that are very much interested in international affairs and playing an important role. Poland is an important EU country. We will be having a EU presidency next year. Also, India with G20 presidency playing is playing more and more important role. So we will be also talking about global affairs. And then here, one topic that you cannot escape for sure is the war, that the Russian aggression against Ukraine that is happening at our border. And we in Poland, we border both Russia and Ukraine. And, when the war, Russian aggression started, we were overwhelmed. Everyone was overwhelmed by what was happening, but we acted very swiftly, very quickly, and we sheltered several numbers of refugees. At the moment, even if you visit Poland, you will see that there's 1.5 million Ukrainians living in Poland. and there's mostly women and children. They are working. They are going. I mean, the children are in school, so they're living a normal life. But at the same time, we are all hoping that this war will end soon. And from this perspective, it's a very important visit, and it's also very important. And hopefully, I mean, that's a important thing that Prime Minister Modi also decided to combine a visit to Poland and with a visit to Ukraine.
So essentially, if we look at the Indian position on the Russia-Ukraine war, what is your position on that in terms of India saying that dialogue and diplomacy is the way forward, India saying that a solution cannot be found on the battlefield? So what is Warsaw's reflections or viewpoint when it comes to the Indian standing on this crisis, the war in Europe?
I think this is something that will be discussed in Warsaw, so it's premature for me to say. But I think that what is very important is that India stands out, and it stands out against war, and it stands out for peace and dialogue, and highlights the importance of UN Charter. Sovereignty and territorial integrity is something that is very close on our minds, and rule-based order. This is something that binds us together, and of course this solution cannot be found on battlefield. But at the moment, negotiations are taking place exactly there. So we do agree that we need a peaceful solution, and we would like to see the very quick and swift and just peace. But at the moment, there is no willingness in Moscow for this kind of talks, and so hopefully India can play a role here.
So before going forward on the bilateral aspect of the relationship, my last question on the war. It is expected that Prime Minister would travel to Ukraine, and this will be the first visit of the Indian Prime Minister to Ukraine since the war started. So how do you see the Indian Prime Minister traveling to Ukraine? He's been to Moscow. Now he will be in Kyiv.
Yes, I mean, this is a very important thing. If this really happens, this will send this kind of visit will send a powerful signal. We send a signal to Ukraine. It be seen as a support of Ukrainian efforts, of course, and peace efforts. This is very important for Ukrainian people. It will be a signal to a global community also that India and Europe in particular, that India is more and more interested and has a strategic interest in the situation in Europe. You can say that this war is a regional one, but obviously, it's not the case. This is, even if it's a regional conflict, it has global consequences, and this is something that we really need to remember. It has global political consequences, economic consequences that we feel all over, and people-to-people ties. So the sooner this ends, the war ends, the better. Of course, but it has to be a just end. And I mean, I guess also the Ukrainian proposal, Zelensky peace formula, will be something that will be high on the agenda. And for us, this is a basis of the solution for this conflict.
So now coming to the bilateral aspect, there are several aspects. I'll start with the historical connect. Jam Saheb is still remembered in Poland. There's a square named after him, the good Maharaja Square. He provided refuge to so many Polish children during the World War II. So how does Poland remembers that? It's expected that Prime Minister will be paying his tributes to the Jam Saheb in Warsaw.
Yes, there are quite a number of beautiful chapters in our joint history, and the story of good Maharaja and Jam Saheb, and the story of Polish refugees that escaped the Second World War and found shelter here in India is one of them. I mean, Maharaja of Jamnagar, Gujarat was one of the places that welcomed Polish refugees. The other one was Maharashtra near Kolhapur, where we had 5,000 people. But of course, Jam Saheb is someone who is being remembered for his words, for his contribution when this was 75 years ago or 8 years ago, there was when Second World War was happening. We suffered a lot. Poland suffered a lot, and we lost 6 million people during that conflict. Many people were trying to escape and traveled all over. They found shelter here in India. Saheb welcoming them, saying that you have no parents, I shall be your father. This is provided food, schooling, education, shelter for them. This is remarkable, and this story is known to Prime Minister Modi. He mentioned this in May during one of his speeches in Jamnagar. Also visited Saheb's son, and we in Poland we do remember it. In fact, this year we're celebrating 70th anniversary of our diplomatic relations. And we will be also organizing an exhibition about this joint history. And during his visit, Prime Minister Modi will also visit the good Maharaja Square, as you mentioned. And I think he will meet students from one of the schools that is named after good Maharaja, as we call him, in Poland. So, yes.
There's another chapter in India-Polish relationship, that is how the Polish and the Indian soldiers fought together in the Battle of Monte Cassino, and this battle ultimately paved way for the Allies liberating Rome. This is a symbol of the resilience of Polish people as well. There is a monument in Warsaw itself. So how do you see the role of the Indian soldiers remembered in your country?
Yes, we just celebrated 80th anniversary of this battle. This was a very important battle that lasted actually a couple of months, and the Polish and Indian soldiers that fought together. This is something that is not known. This Battle of Monte Cassino had a very important significance for Poland. It was a very important contribution of our soldiers and sacrifice. Almost 1,000 people died. Polish soldiers died there. Still a couple of thousand were wounded, and I guess Indian side also had similar casualties. But we're fighting together, and this is something that I think Prime Minister Modi will also highlight. It's an important chapter that is not really highlighted enough. So I mean, it would be very significant for me myself also.
Let's talk about the Indian community. There's a large Indian community in Poland. They're working as well. There are a lot of students as well. So if you can talk about the role of the Indian community in Poland, how do you see that as?
I think that, this is a lot of excitement in, I keep getting messages from my Indian colleagues living in Poland. Some of them actually Polish colleagues with Indian roots, that they're very excited to see Prime Minister Modi coming, especially after 45 years, of not having a visit. And we have a number of Indian companies that is present in Poland, contributing to Polish economy. They employ mostly they employ Polish employees, but they also employ Indians as part of the community that is there. Biggest BPOs and IT companies, Indian companies are there. There's also a number of manufacturing companies active, and an Indian diaspora is very vibrant. It's very dynamic, contributing to the building bridges, between Poland and India. And of course, one of the easiest, the things that you will immediately notice when you land in Warsaw, that there is abundance of Indian restaurants serving Indian khana. And many clients and many guests that they have. So there is a lot of interest in Indian cuisine, of course, Indian culture. They are also promoting Indian culture. There is a growing number of Indian students. This is something that has changed since 10 years. Poland is getting more and more popular with Indian students. Currently, Indians are the third biggest group of foreign students in Poland. Third biggest, of course, Ukrainian students are the biggest, but so third biggest is already quite a number, given the distance. Although, I mean, last 2-3 years we have a direct flight to both Warsaw and Delhi, to Warsaw and Delhi and Warsaw and Mumbai. Also helps building bridges. It's just 7 hours. So I think if you some places if you travel to Missouri, it might take you 7 hours. So Warsaw is not that far away. So please do visit, and it will be warmly welcomed in Poland, I'm sure. Not only in Indian restaurants.
WION will be present there in Warsaw when the Prime Minister visits, and we will be covering the visit. But continuing the conversation on the cultural connect, the connect between the two countries, there's a lot of interest in Poland regarding Indian culture. In fact, Sanskrit was taught in Polish universities in 1860s. There is a department of Indology as well, one of the biggest in Central Europe, if I'm correct. So if you talk about the interest regarding India, regarding Sanskrit in Poland.
That's also a very important, interesting thing, because 19th century is a different Poland. Actually, Poland didn't exist on the maps at that time because we were partitioned, but we are still, at that time, we were trying to survive. We used to say that, as similar saying, "Hamari Sanskriti, Hamari Shakti hai." This culture was something that bound us together. Yes, so it was very important. So we were focusing on preserving our own culture. But at the same time, we were very much interested in learning new things. And this is one of the, in order to understand yourself, you need to, if you understand the others, you understand yourself better. Yeah? So getting to know India and Sanskrit and this, the country that has always fascinated us was something very important. And Sanskrit has a great significance, really deep roots, and the similarity of languages is there. So, in order to understand the foreign culture, you need to learn about its roots, about the languages. So this is what happened in the 19th century. One of the oldest European universities, Jagiellonian University, there was a Sanskrit chair that was established and continues to this day. Today you can learn Hindi, you can learn Sanskrit, you can learn other Indian languages in Poland, not only in Krakow, but also in Warsaw University, Wrocław, Poznań. And we are also trying to promote Polish language here in Delhi University. There are talks about establishing new Polish language courses in other parts of India.
But is Sanskrit still being taught, and how much there is interest? How many students are studying Sanskrit?
I think it's a couple of, yearly would be 10-20 students that would be starting Sanskrit studies. Yes. More interest. There is a lot of interest also in contemporary India. Yeah. So learning Sanskrit is important, but I also, shouldn't forget about contemporary India. Yeah. So, in order to understand contemporary India, of course, you need to understand its roots and history.
Yoga is also quite popular, I believe. There are a lot of yoga schools, or perhaps people who teach yoga and do yoga. Why so much popularity for yoga in Poland?
We are 40 million people country, and we have around 5 million people practicing yoga weekly. So it's a big number of yoga students. Anecdotally, I can say that I was here when Yoga Day was established. I was 2015. I was there at Rajpath with Prime Minister Modi when UNESCO Yoga Day was UN Yoga Day was started. So I would like to see that this is the beginning of interest in yoga in Poland, but probably not. It started, it was one of the factors that contributed to this, but we also practice yoga in the embassy, so we have regular classes. It helps you, maintain your balance in life. So it's something that is very important. We see a lot of tourists from Poland coming also for yoga to India.
That's interesting to know, sir. Before we close this interview, two short questions. My first question is on the global convergences. You talked about global issues that will be discussed, but UNSC reforms, the United Nations Security Council reform, is something that India has been calling for. What is Polish position on India's bid for a reformed UNSC and India being there at the UNSC?
I think I would quote our foreign minister here in his expose, in his speech in Parliament. He actually referred to this very question, and it's surprising to us that India is not, India being the most populous country in the world, is not part of the UN, permanent member of the UN Security Council. It's something that, clearly points out, stresses the importance of the reform of UN Security Council. We would like to see also a wider representation of Europe. Central Europe has changed, European Union has changed, so there are countries. But the voice of Central Europe should be heard also.
So my last question, while I have asked this question in several ways in the course of the interview, but still, I would like to end the interview on this question. India is a large country geographically. It is the most populated country. It is the 5th largest economy, soon to be the 3rd largest economy. How does Poland sees India in Asia and in the world?
We see growing importance of India in Asia, in world, in global affairs, and we want to work with India closer. This year we had a number of political interactions. We are looking for, I hope that Prime Minister's Modi visit to Poland will not only be a new chapter in our relations, but hopefully we will be able to write a new book.
A new book which everyone would like to read as well.
Hopefully, yes.
Hopefully, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for speaking to WION. And this essentially begins our coverage of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Poland, which will be a very, very historic visit in several ways, as we will see the events unfold. Thank you so much, sir, for speaking to WION.
All the best for your visits and Prime Minister visit to Poland, of course. But
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.